grateful and thankful to be given this topic and to share my thoughts about inequalities present in the community, climate change and global warming, corruption in the government, peace-building initiatives, COVID-19 pandemic response, educational reform. Throughout long-term investments that affect the community where the education, justice, and livelihoods belong. Nowadays, people live in fear of their lives and threatened by violence. The law does not tolerate causing and to be violent themselves and pose a threat to other people, for their safety or for other purposes, because the law and the government does not care that much anymore to serve justice to the fugitives. Innocent people are going to jail instead of the real fugitives, most likely causing people to start riots and chaos throughout the streets and causing panic and danger. The government should implement diplomacy and strengthen democracy and to have better communities and economic opportunities for the livelihood. Let us bring back the good old days where people can live in peace, can go out at night without other people hurting them or fearing for their lives. Political decisions affect the community whether it's a good or bad decision that the government will choose. The government should not only work with themselves, but they should collaborate with other organizations, local and international societies. Normal people can also participate in building and bringing back peace to the community by working together to stop violence, chaos, and outbreaks. People should have fair, equal access to basic needs like food, water, health, and medication, shelter, and decent environments. Everyone should have equal opportunities and be accepted whatever gender they have and not be insulted or racist by other races. Let us help one another to promote justice, bring peace and build a peaceful community wherein people does not live in danger or scared for their lives. We are living amidst what is potentially one of the greatest threats in our lifetime to global education, a gigantic educational crisis. Educational needs cannot be forgotten, and these have an equally determinal impact if left unaddressed. Basic education is what every people need to thrive for tomorrow and be successful one day. It is also necessary for us to be in the future ready, as we may know that the world will never be back to the way it used to be. When you lack knowledge, but on the contrary, it is a time in our life when we meet other people and gain social life. As we all know that education is a bit challenging itself and requires too much attention and focus. The negative impacts will be left disproportionately by poor children. When it rains, it pours for them. However, it makes a certain point wherein not every child has a privilege on the new normal learning system. The purpose of this paper is to discuss every ways possible of learning in a new normal state, and to suggest that the kind of learning system is not effective in so many ways that it only burdens some people or those not privileged family. Education is key for generations of Filipinos to become fully fledged, productive members of the society. Therefore, we should be looking at how the nations will go back to the school. However, while we are preparing for a massive shift in education, a big question to ask is if we should continue with the school opening. It also comes down to two major concerns: internet connectivity and the issue of the curriculum and educational materials that must be adapted. For us, with the blended learning environment, access to educational materials throughout the internet is not worth much if the internet is inaccessible due to lack of service or network infrastructure. Be it though, provisions for budget equipment and commercial access to the internet must be done to improve digital connectivity throughout the country. As for the case of improving how blended learning can be unpacked for our children, we must call it upon an integral resource for the family. The parents indeed. Parents and guardians must be empowered to help the learning process of the students. There exists now a small window of opportunity to learn from each country and experts, and in developing a dialogue of expectations, requirements as we move ahead to the next phase of meeting post-COVID-19 challenges. Knowing that the world will never be the same again, it is also an opportunity to address The duties in the education system of many countries that were exposed by the pandemic. New normal is often heard nowadays because of the pandemic that is going on now. There's a lot of new normal that takes place in every daily routine, on jobs, on every government process, and in education. Moreover, new normal means to wear new face mask every time people go out in government. Everything must be first be done through online. But how about Philippine education system? What does new normal look like in education? First, in implementation of the various learning delivery modules and modalities, the challenges will be in dealing with learners under any of the modes of distance learning or blended learning who are not capable of learning independently or who are periodically supported by their parents or guardians. Also, critical for the implementation will be the mass production of the needed teachers, learners, learning materials, as well as the support or media institutions like TV and radio stations. Learning in the new normal, blended learning is not wholly new to the Philippine universities, such as University of the Philippines (UP). Open universities have used blended learning in the new normal. All schools will have blended or purely online courses. Training in using teaching and platforms will be available for both teachers and students. Teaching and learning platforms. Philippines-wise, we have available online education platforms. One is the DepEd Commons accessible on Globe or TM-powered smartphones, free of data and charges, and which is also accessible to private school students because of the COVID-19 movement restrictions. The DepEd has encouraged students to continue the learning online. Inequality has become a defining issue of the present time that must be addressed through social protection policies, including progressive taxation in favor of the low-income families, such as well as public spending to support vulnerable populations. Delegates told the opening of the 57 sessions of Committee for Social Development today. A growing body of evidence shows that the income inequality has been on the rise in many countries, while unequal social opportunities continue to persist. Whether it's access to decent work, quality education, healthcare, to productive assets such as land and credit, calling on delegates not only highlights the impact of inequality in people, communities, but also point to fiscal wage and social protection policies that have shown to be effective in addressing inequality and challenges in social inclusion.